ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवत् गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Chant from the verse 20. त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गम् नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम् यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टः द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समसिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते। In these verses, beginning from verse 18, Lord Krishna is describing a wise person with reference to action. How does the wisdom become manifest while the wise person is performing action? What is wisdom? Karmani akarmayah pashed. one who sees the actionless self while action is being performed. Whatever action is being performed at the level of the body, at the level of the speech, or at the level of the mind. While the action is being performed, the wise person does not fail to see the actionless self in presence of whom this action is being performed. The self, the consciousness, is itself actionless, meaning that the wise person who identifies with the true self, the consciousness, sees himself as the actionless. Naiva kinchit karometi, I do not do anything. While action is being performed by the body, mind, sense complex, that is where the action is. So whereas we lump the two together, action is being performed at one level, at the level of the upadhi, the body, mind, sense complex. The talking, walking, eating, drinking, thinking, all of this is done by the body, the sense organs, the mind, one or more. And what is it that imparts the capacity to these body, mind, sense complex, to this upadhi, to perform the functions? The upadhi by itself is unconscious. It is the result of prakriti, the matter. And therefore cannot perform function, cannot perform action on its own. And still it performs actions. In whose presence? Who imparts the satta and sphurti, the very being, the very existence, as well as it impels them into activity, in whose presence these are impelled into activities. That is the self. When these are lumped together, when this distinction is not seen, which is called aviveka, inability to see the distinction, they are lumped together and we think that I am speaking, I am listening, I am thinking, I am performing action. In this, two aspects are involved. One is I am and other is speaking. I am and thinking. I am belongs to the self, the actionless self, which just is. I am just is, just shines in its own glory. It is no need to do anything. It transcends all the needs. Therefore, abides in its own glory of peace and tranquility and fullness. And in presence of the self, this body, mind, sense complex becomes enlivened and performs its activities. The wise person sees this distinction. And that is the teaching that Lord Krishna seeks to impart when he says, Karmani akarma yah pashyet. One who sees the actionless self while action is being performed. Or one who sees the actionless self, akarmani chaya karmaya, or when the karma is not performed. As you said earlier, the performance of karma belongs to the upadhi, the body, mind, sense complex. The non-performance of a karma also belongs to body, mind, sense complex. The self cannot be said to be performing action or not performing action either. Therefore we use the expression actionless. Lord Krishna uses the expression akarma. So when one sees oneself as the actionless self, akarma self, which is actionless, which means that it is free from all changes and modifications, free from therefore the birth and death and all changes, which is immortal, which is nitya, eternal, which is free from all the changes of birth and death, and therefore nirvikara, changeless, and therefore self-existing, self-shining, self-sufficient. The wise person sees himself as self-existing, self-shining, self-sufficient, and therefore has total contentment with his own self. Nitya trupto nirashra. Nitya trupta, Lord Krishna said, he is ever content because contentment is the nature of the self. So this wisdom, with reference to the self, is expressed here with reference to action. And that is why in this reference, the self, the Atma, is called actionless. It is called differently in different contexts. He will call Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta. Here, akarma, actionless, depending upon the context. All of these words have the same ultimate meaning. So the vision of this wise person and how this vision becomes manifest in his life or in action is being described in these verses. The last verse that we saw, verse 22, Lord Krishna said, Yadricha lava santushtaha. Santushtaha, content. With lava, yadricha lava, with whatever comes on its own. Meaning that he does not ask for anything, does not demand anything. Nirashir, yadachittatma. Nirashir, free from all desires or expectations because of total contentment with the self. Therefore, his contentment does not come from what comes to him. If the contentment or satisfaction or happiness comes from what comes to me, then what comes to me becomes very important. Then I wish that a given thing should come to me, a given thing should not come to me, a given thing should come to me in given quantity, etc. Because my sense of happiness, contentment depends upon what comes to me. That is because I do not see myself as the contented self. But one nitya trupta, one who sees himself as contentment, the satisfaction. Therefore, yadruchalava santushta. He is santushta, contented with whatever comes on its own, because his contentment does not depend upon what comes, therefore. Meaning that even if something does not come, he is contented. Dvandva tito vivatsi, free from all reactions. All reactions such as raga, dvesha, attachment, aversion, kama, krodha, lobha, or harsha, shoka, elation, depression. All of these reactions reveal an inner discontentment, an inner dissatisfaction. Each of these reactions, whether it is attachment or aversion, it is harsha, elation, shoka, depression, disappointment. All of these reveal an inner discontentment, inner dissatisfaction with myself. The wise person is free from this dvandva, the pairs of opposites, meaning harsha and shoka, elation and depression. He is free from the influence of the dvandva, pairs of opposites, meaning that is equally contented whether it's honored or dishonored, whether it's granted success or failure, whether it's praised or censured. He remains abiding in his contented self. Therefore, he is totally non-reacting, not insensitive, does not see the point in reacting because his contentment is not affected by what happens out there. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukheshu vigataspuraha, whose mind does not get perturbed when things are not going well, nor does his mind hankers after something when, or craves for something when things are going favorably. Vimatsaraha, free from matsaryam, free from jealousy, free from spite, free from enmity. Nobody is his enemy. Not jealous of anybody. Because he sees everyone as equal to him. Atmopamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna. In the 6th chapter, Lord Krishna will say that one who sees everyone as his own self, because that's the reality. Just as I am the actionless self, you are the actionless self. It's a different thing that I may think that I'm performing action. That may be my notion about myself. But in spite of that notion, I remain actionless. The wise person sees everyone as actionless. Everyone is whole and complete. There is no comparison then. There is no superiority, no inferiority, no jealousy, no fear, no insecurity, ever no enmity. Dvandva tito vimatsaraha samasiddha siddhaucha. Samaha, even-minded in siddhi and asiddhi, in success and failure. Kritva pina nibadhyate. This person, even when he or she performs action, na nibadhyate. The action does not become the binding action. We have said earlier, it is not the action that binds us. It is my relationship with the action, how I relate to the action, that makes the action binding. When I look upon myself as a performer of the action, a karta, a doer, that is when the action binds me, inasmuch as whatever outcome is, I am accountable for the outcome of the action when I am the performer of the action. When I am not the performer of the action, I am not accountable for the outcome also. Krutva vina nibadhyate. Even when he performs action or does not perform action, he is not bound because being free is his nature. In the next verse, 23, the same wise person is described. Earlier, Lord Krishna had said, Karmanyabhi pravuttopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Karmani abhipravrittopi. He is very well engaged, totally engaged in performance of an action. From the standpoint of the others, he is totally engaged in performance of action, wholeheartedly performing the action. Naiva kinchit karoti sa. But from his own standpoint, he does not do anything. like an actor who is playing the role of a beggar. From the standpoint of the spectators, he is begging because he is a very effective actor. And therefore, it appears to others as though he is really a beggar. From his own standpoint, he knows that I am not begging. Neva kinchit karoti sa, he does not do anything. So the same person again is described in the verse 23. What's the reason why, even while performing action, he is not performing action? So Lord Krishna says in the verse 23, Gata sangasya muktasya jnana avasthita chetasah yajnaya charatah karma samagram praviliyate. Gata sangasya, one who is gata sanga, muktasya, one is mukta, jnana avasthita chetasah, one who is jnana avasthita chetaha. Yajnaya acharatah karma, one who performs karma only for as yajna for this person. So this is how the wise person performs action. Samagram praviliyate, it was said. Krutva pina nibadhyate. Even while performing action, he does not get bound. But he said, Na bhuktam kshiyate karma kalpa koti shatairapi. An action that is performed does not get erased until it produces its effect, until the karma phala, the effect is experienced by the karta. Until then, that karma does not die down. So, however, this person, when he performs karma, he doesn't produce any result. And that's what this verse says. Karma, samagram karma, praviliyate. The karma in its totality, praviliyate. It becomes, liyate means merges. Praviliyate very well merges. Meaning that it very well ends. It is very well destroyed. His karma is destroyed and therefore does not produce any result for this person. How is the person? Gata sangasya. Gataha sangaha yasmat sa gata sangaha. Sangaha, attachment. Gataha, the one from whom all the sangha or attachment has gone away. This we have said earlier also, that we cannot give up attachment. Attachment has to give us up, or attachment go away from us. We can perform an action as though I am unattached, that I can do. Fake it till you make it. Meaning, perform an action as though you are unattached. How would a person without attachment, how would that person perform an action? I attempt to perform action that way. So someday I become a person free from attachment. So gata sangasya, a wise person is the one who is free from all sangha or all attachment. So that is the ultimate result. That is the ultimate, the culmination. That is the characteristic of a liberated person. Sangha, asakti, attachment is the mark of dependence. When I'm attached to something, then my happiness, my security, my sense of well-being depends upon what it is that I'm attached to. It can be a person, it can be another entity, it can be even an inner thing such as my home, my car, my furniture and whatever. It can be the spouse, it can be my progeny, my friends, it can be my job, it can be my wealth, it can be my name, fame, power. When I look upon one or more of these things as a source of my happiness, source of my security, source of my well-being, I feel happy, comfortable in presence of these things, one or more things, then that relationship is called attachment. Which means that my happiness, security, sense of well-being depends upon the thing I am attached to. If I am attached to the wealth, then I am happy when the wealth is there, not happy when it is not there. Same thing about fame, power, progeny, family or any other things. It is because I impose upon them the value that it doesn't have. I superimpose, I project happiness upon something which it basically does not have. This was discussed a number of times earlier. इसको शोभनाध्यास है. Superimposing shobhanatvam, ramaniyatvam, being beautiful, being favorable, being good, being helpful. So when I project these upon other things, then I look upon that as a source of comfort, happiness. And then I cannot do without that. So that is called attachment. Kata sangasya. The attachment naturally represents an inner insufficiency, as we said earlier. It is my inner insufficiency, discontent with myself, that makes me a seeker of contentment. When I am not content with myself as I am, then I become a seeker of contentment. Because contentment I must have. Happiness I must have. When I do not see that in myself, I naturally become a seeker of happiness, seeker of love, seeker of security, seeker of well-being, seeker of comfort. And a mind which is seeking will project, oh, that is where the comfort is, that is where the happiness is, that's where the security is. And then will want it. And then we'll perform action to acquire it, possess it, experience it. Gata sangasya. But the one who has discovered wholeness within one's own self. So actionlessness means wholeness. Actionlessness means free from any change, modification, therefore free from change or free from mortality is immortal. Changeless, ever the same, ever full, ever complete. So, this is called knowledge when we discover ourselves to be what we were seeking to be. So, when I see myself as a very embodiment of contentment, which is a reality about me and about everybody, that I see myself as a discontented person is not a reality about me. That I see myself as an insecure person is not a reality about me. Ignorance has done that. Why? Mutual identification with self and a non-self. And the all inadequacies of non-self, all inadequacies, all insecurities, all hankerings of non-self are superimposed upon the self, and I see myself as hankering person, insecure person, wanting, lacking being. But when knowledge of true self takes place, and we presuppose here that whole process of Shravanam, Mananam, approaching the teacher, Shravanam, listening to the unfoldment of the scripture self from the lips of the teacher, Mananam, deliberation upon what is taught to remove any doubts, Nididhyasanam, owning up, assimilating the teaching. As a result of that, when I see myself as the very embodiment of contentment, I see that I am already what I am seeking to be. Therefore, I am no more a seeker. And therefore, I do not look upon anything as a means of happiness or security or contentment, because that's what I have discovered with myself. So now I have a real healthy relationship with everything. When my relationship is one of seeking favor, please favor me so that I'll be happy. Please favor me so that I'll be secure, I'll be comfortable. Then it's not a healthy relationship. And when my desire of being favored doesn't become satisfied, then that very thing transforms itself into anger. When I find that there are others who are seeking the same thing, then there is jealousy. So kama, krodha, lobha, moha, all of these take place. Gata sangasya, one who has discovered the self as the very embodiment of contentment, of security, of comfort, of love. One is therefore free from all needs and expectations and demands. One is therefore happy with one's own self and therefore also happy with everything else. We are happy when we are non-demanding. We are happy with anybody when we make no demands upon them. And we are happy with ourselves when we don't make any demands upon ourselves. But that can happen when my demand is satisfied, meaning that when I find myself to be happiness. Gata sangasya. So this knowledge makes me free from all sangha or attachment, all dependence, all expectations, all demands, by enabling me to see that I already am what I am seeking from the world. Kata sangasya muktasya. Mukta means liberated, free. So here, Bhashyakara explains muktasya nivritta dharma dharmadi bandhasya. Who is mukta? Nivritta dharma adharmadi bandhasya. One is free from both dharma as well as adharma. Both are called bandha. Dharma means righteousness. Performing an action in keeping with the moral order is called dharma. And violating that moral order in an action is called adharma. So adharma certainly represents bondage. Because adharma produces papa, produces sinful effect and makes me suffer. Adharma produces dukkha or unhappiness. Dharma produces happiness. So why should dharma be called bondage? Bhashyakara says dharma or the virtue which produces happiness also requires me to be present when the result of happiness comes. This karta becomes a bhokta in future. With adharma, I become bhokta or experiencer of pain. With dharma, I become the bhokta or experiencer of pleasure. So what I am experiencing is different, no doubt. And that experience creates a different effect in me, is it all right? But the fact is, I remain an experiencer, bhokta. As long as I am a karta or performer of action, so long I will become a bhokta, experiencer. Unfortunately, that bhokta will create further action because I experience happiness or unhappiness. Happiness creates in me a desire for more of happiness. Experience unhappiness creates desire for avoiding it. So again desire is created. How action is performed? Karta, then bhokta. And that's how the chain of karta, bhokta. And therefore, the chain of karta requires a whole infrastructure of the body-mind sense complex. Bhokta requires again infrastructure of body, mind, sense complex, and therefore I'll keep on acquiring new parts. And that's how dharma, meaning even a virtuous action also, when it involves kartrutva, when even a virtuous action also is performed in the sense of doership, that also becomes binding. Therefore, muktasya, the wise person is mukta, is liberated, is free from both dharma and adharma. Because he doesn't perform action. Action can be called dharma, adharma when it is performed with the sense of kartrutva or doership. A wise person's action cannot be classified as dharma or adharma. He is actionless, inaction. Gata sangasya muktasya. Dharma also can be said to be duty. And duty means kartavya. This also we discussed earlier. Kartavya means that which has to be done. And that puts on me a pressure that I have to do a given thing. And when I fail to do something which I think I should have done, there is a guilt in me. So that way dharma is translated as karma, kartavya. If dharma is virtue, then we discuss that. If dharma is translated as kartavya, an action, a duty, an obligatory duty that has to be performed, that also represents bondage. Because I have to do, there is compulsion. He is free from that. No compulsion that he has to do something. Or that he does not have to do something. There is no such compulsion at all. That's called mukta, freedom. As our Puja Swami used to say, not freedom from action, freedom in action. Your freedom not to perform action also, but that is also not because of a compulsion that I don't want to do that. There is no compulsion. A wise person may not do anything. He may do things. Either way, muktasya is free. Kata sangasya muktasya jnana avasthita chetasaha. Chetas means the mind. Avasthita, abiding. Jnana means knowledge. Jnane avasthitam chetaha yasya sa tasya jnana avasthita chetasaha. One whose mind abides in jnanam, one whose mind abides in knowledge that I am actionless self. That is important. That is what makes him Gata Sangha. That is what makes him Mukta. Gata Sangha is free from attachment. Why? Because Mukta. Because he is free. Free from any demand, expectation. Why? Because Jnana Vasthita Chetasaha. Because his mind abides in knowledge. What knowledge? In this context, the knowledge is Karmani Akarmayah Pashet. One who sees oneself as the actionless self. And therefore, he is free from the pressure of any action or duty. And therefore, he is free from any sangha or attachment. So thus the first line of the verse describes the wise person. Second line says, Yajñāya ācharatah karma. Karma ācharatah. For the one who is performing karma. For what? Yajñāya. For the purpose of yajna. Meaning that if the wise person is performing an action, he is automatically performing the spirit of yajna. The word yajna was explained earlier as in the spirit of offering, spirit of self-sacrifice, self-offering. Meaning that in performing any action, he offers himself completely. What do you mean self? What we call self? The body, mind, sense complex is what we call self. All of this is offered. When an action is performed on the part of a wise person, all of this is offered. He does not claim ownership to anything. That this is my body, my sense organs, my mind, my intellect, my wealth. No. Yajna, all of this belongs to Ishvara. And what belongs to Ishvara is offered to Ishvara. So Yajñāya ācarata can be said to be the action that is performed as an offering to Ishvara. Because as Pujya Swami said, what is the Ishvara? And therefore, his action is performed as an offering to what is. He doesn't distinguish anything that this is worthy of being offered, or this is not worthy. Whatever the prarabdha, whatever the destiny brings before this person, and whatever the destiny determines as to what he should do, he does. While doing that, he offers himself completely. What we call the self, this body, mind, sense complex, which we call self, and therefore we possess that. It is I or mine. Wise person doesn't even have that. Gata Sangha, free from attachment, means that he is not only free from attachment with all the world or even with his own possessions, but really he is free from attachment with his own upadhi also. While performing action, wholehearted action is performed. Yo mameva sammudah janati purushottam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. In the 15th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Yo mamevam asammudah janati purushottamam. Asammudah, free from all moha, free from all identification arising from ignorance. Janati purushottamam. He sees the self as Purushottama, as the most exalted Purusha. Purusha means whole, complete, Purna. So sarvit bhajati mam sarva bhavena. Lord Krishna says, he worships me with his whole being. He does not keep anything for himself. But Swami used to say that the teacher gives everything that he has to the student. Doesn't keep anything for himself. In a different context it was said. Because the teacher wants to create another teacher. But the point is that shows total selflessness. That this knowledge doesn't belong to me. It is given to me and therefore it is to be passed on. Similarly, the upadhi doesn't belong to me. Which Swami would always say, given. The body is given. Sense organs, given. Mind, given. Intellect, given. Skills, given. Abilities, given. All this all given. Now that the wise person has become free from all his personal needs, therefore all of this now is available. For an ignorant person, even though this is given, I need it to accomplish my own agenda. So we use this body-mind-sense complex to fulfill our own agenda. In which case it doesn't become an offering to Ishvara, it becomes an offering to the self, to the ego. And then we try to maintain that attitude that may this become an offering, and to some extent it will become. But there is faking it till making it. But he has made it. He sees himself as in an actionless self. Sees himself as a very witness of all this body, mind, sense complex. I'm not the owner. At the most I'm a trustee of this. And therefore, whole of his own self, whether his body, mind, sense organs, intellect, his knowledge, his vision, whatever he possesses or whatever he has, sarva bhavena bharata, his entire being is poured into an action. Yajnaya acharatah karma. His karma, any action that he performs, becomes a yajna, becomes an offering to Ishvara. Because what is Ishvara becomes an offering. He is an ideal contributor who contributes his own, is to himself in totality. Because there is no agenda. He does not have anything of his own to accomplish from an action, because he is already an accomplished person. Therefore, whatever he has now belongs to the whole universe. Yajnaya acharatah karma. So while he is performing karma for yajna, in the spirit of yajna, here the Tikakara also explained that yajna can also mean the conventional, traditional yajna, like a sacrificial ritual, religious activities. That wise people such as King Janaka and others, for whom it was destined that they should continue to perform their duties. For King Janaka it was a duty of ruling the kingdom. And also, Lord Krishna said, Yadyada charde shrestha tatta deve taro janah. Naturally, these people are Shrestha. They are the most exalted people in, of their times, of their environment, of their surrounding. And they were looked upon by other people, looked up to by other people. And therefore, they may perform yajna. They may perform these kind of actions. Those days yajna, these days any worthy action, to set an example for others. Because other people follow what these wise people do. And therefore, they also perform these activities, religious activities, as prescribed in the scriptures as to how a person should be leading his life. He may be performing even all these yajnas, Brahma yajna, Deva yajna, whatever. Not because he needs to do that, not because he thinks that it is his duty. He does it anyway. Then he becomes then an example, sets an example for others. Therefore, he may perform actual yajnas also in order to set an example for others. So yajna can mean the spirit, as we discussed earlier, or yajna can mean an act of yajna, a religious action, or these days an act of contribution, of service to the society. Yajnaya acharah karma. Whatever be the form of that karma, it will be yajna. It will be a self-offering. So this is how a wise person is described. And the conclusion says, samagram karma samagram pravilyate. The conclusion of the verse is, karma samagram pravilyate. Liyate, it merges. It completely disappears without leaving any trace. Samagram, samagram. So Bhashyakara says, agrena savartateti samagram. Samagram karma. Agrena saha. What is going to follow? Meaning karma phala. So samagram pravilyate, the karma becomes completely merged. Karma disappears completely along with karma phala. Meaning that this person's karma does not leave any mark at all. See, this is being said to Arjuna, who thought karmana baddhyate jantuhu. A jiva is bound by karma. The reason why he said, I will not fight this battle, I will not perform this karma, I will not perform this duty, because it binds me. That was one of the aspects of his not performing karma. And therefore Lord Krishna wants to teach him that karma can also be performed such that it doesn't bind you. Because karma does not bind anybody. And you say, it is the relationship I have with the karma, or the perception I have of karma, arising from perception of myself. Whenever I do something, who is I? That I is the one having a certain perception of myself. I am so and so. It is that perception of myself that I am a doer, I am a seeker, I am an incomplete being, I need to do something. Therefore the karma is performed for a certain personal purpose. That's the agenda. So usually an action is performed with a personal agenda. That may this action produce this benefit for me, so that I'll be happier than what I am, more secure than what I am. But he is a person who has no agenda of his own. So when the wise person sees himself as one free from any agenda, because he is actionless and is complete, action doesn't have any effect upon him. So action does not bind on its own. Action binds the person who has this perception that I am a karta, I am a doer, that I should do this action to fulfill a certain agenda. If that's the kind of perception I have about myself, then I look upon karma as a means of fulfilling my agenda. Then karma will produce the result. That will then I will have to experience that, become bhokta. That's called bondage. Samagram praviliyate. Since this action is performed without any personal agenda, yajnaya as a total offering, seeking no personal benefit at all from this karma, is performed as an act of pleasure, is performed as from a sense of fulfillment. Action is not performed for seeking fulfillment. For a wise person, action is performed as out of fulfillment. It is not for happiness, it is out of happiness. Samagram praviliyate. That not only that karma disappears, it disappears along with karma phala. So this is how no further chain of birth and death is created. With this kartrutva, to worship, then there will be bhoktritva. When karma, there is kartrutva while performing karma, then there will be bhoktritva while experiencing karma phala. With bhoktritva while experiencing karma phala, then it will create a reaction of pleasure or pain, which in turn will create desire and perpetuate kartrutva. So kartrutva creates bhoktritva, which creates kartrutva, and that's how this chain of bondage continues. When will the karma not bind me? Only when karma is performed with the vision that is described in these verses. Samagram praviliyate, that karma completely disappears without leaving any trace at all. And so, that karma does not produce a bhokta because there is no karta. So, thus Lord Krishna is teaching Arjuna, this is not the karma that binds. Karma can completely disappear for a wise person. Meaning thereby that Arjuna, this is what you should become. If you want to become free from bondage of karma, that will not happen by not performing karma. Na karmanam anarambhad naishkarmyam purusha ashnude. The third chapter, Lord Krishna said, karmanam anarambhad. By not initiating a karma, by not responding to the situation, by not performing karma even when you are required to perform, purusha naishkarmyam na samashnude. One does not attain this sense, this state of actionlessness. What one wants is not freedom from karma. What one is seeking is freedom in action, not freedom from action. But this difference is not understood. However, Arjuna equated freedom from action as the real freedom. That if I do not perform the action, I am free. If I perform the action, this action will bind me. And therefore, may I not perform the action so that I remain free. Lord Krishna says, no. It is not action that binds you or makes you free. It is your own perception that binds you or makes you free. So when this is the perception of self, gata sangasya, muktasya, jnanavastita, chetasa, yajnaya, acharata karma. If that is the perception, one of vision or perception, one is one's own self, karma does not bind. Meaning that a false perception about myself creates bondage. And the true perception of myself makes me free from bondage. when I have the false perception, then everything binds me as though. Because with that false perception of myself, I have a distorted relationship with everything. When I am an agenda, then I look upon things as I only feel means of fulfilling agenda. This one will fulfill agenda, he is important. This will not fulfill agenda, not important. This fellow is in the way of agenda, then there is aversion. Moment agenda is there, raga dveshas are going to be there. But hey Arjuna, it is possible that you can be free from agenda because that is your nature. It is by transforming your perception about yourself that you become free, because freedom is not to be described in performing action or non-performing action. Arjuna thought that non-performing action is freedom, performing action is bondage. So he said, Nayotse, Lord, I will not perform the action. I do not want to be bound. And this is what essentially everybody thinks. In context of that, Lord Krishna is imparting this teaching. So Bhagavad Gita is in the context of action. And two contexts are there. One is death of the near and dear one. The death of Svajana, the near and dear ones. And second is, how can I be the performance of this terrible action? So, kartrutva is a problem and the death or mrityu is a problem. So, primarily these two problems are addressed in the Bhagavad Gita. The problem mrityu is addressed right in the beginning. Najayate, mriyate va, kadachit, nayam, bhutva, etc. Ajo, nitya, shashvatoyam, purana. There is no death for the self. And then subsequently, all along, it is action that is addressed. Because that was a problem for Arjuna. So Lord Krishna is teaching him how you remain completely free in performing action. You are free even when you do not perform action. Shariram kevalam karma korannapnoti kilbisham. There can be a person who does nothing other than just sustaining his body. Even that also he may not do. There is mahatukari bhiksha. A person goes out and begs food from X number of houses. Or ajagari bhiksha, like a python, just stays there. A python waits for his prey to come to him. He wants his prey to enter his mouth, I guess. That's how a python is. A wise person could be like a python. Waits for things to come to him. And so, that is how that shows total freedom from need. But how to become free from action is then the theme all along. And Lord Krishna basically wants Arjuna to perform action. Because Arjuna has been born, with a certain purpose. He has been given certain talents, abilities, a place in the scheme of things, and that way is to fulfill that place. But while fulfilling that role, how to perform action so that you are not bound? And that is the theme of these verses here. And we'll take a break and continue in the next section.